What up, my freaks? RuinouSinsight here with part 3 of my Total Warhammer 3 modded Arkhan the Black campaign. So as we saw last time, many a Bretonnian head, or many a hatless head, hit the sands as Arkhan the Black tore through the Bretonnian armies, taking out Thegan's errantry at Martek, and then following up by taking out 5,000 peasants at the Pools of Despair belonging to the Knights of Origo. Now it looks like both of these factions, well, Thegan's errantry is dead, and the Knights of Origo are only at Zandri, so I do imagine they will be dead shortly. And then it will hopefully be on to Rapunzel, or at least hopefully as soon as she takes out Al-Haik and destroys this little faction and allows us to go for it ourselves. I'm really hoping that she doesn't siege it for 9 turns, but we shall see. It would be really annoying if she actually sacked the place, but I'm hoping she doesn't. I guess we will indeed have to see. Now, in terms of what we gotta do this turn, there probably isn't all that much. Let's see. Quick deals are nothing. And we can't move anybody, we can't build anything, so I guess we're just gonna go next and immediately take the Port of Terror. To Zandri we go. We do have a special building there as well, but I do recall that because it has a special building and a port and pottery, it makes it rather hard to defend as you can't build a wall structure, and Khemri does have a tendency to move over here and try to retake it. But we should probably still occupy it for pottery. Later on, when we have access to another source of pottery, perhaps then we will be...
Your mighty tomb blade lies dormant, my lord. It requires a powerful soul to feed its hunger and become an instrument of true power. Perhaps it is time to seek a suitable donor for the task.
The donor being a Slan, and oh wow, 2 Temple Guards and a bunch of Feral Bestie, well 2 Feral Besties plus reinforcements, and who knows what kind of reinforcements that is. I don't think we can take this yet. We just don't have the armor piercing to deal with either the Temple Guard or the Basties. I just don't see how we would be able to bring them down. Yeah, if we isolated a single Bastie and hit it with Arkhan and the Tomb Prince and the Hex Wraiths, we would, but who knows what's in the reinforcement. But if it's like 6 horned ones or something, we'd have no chance against those at the current time. So we're going to build up a little bit first. Get some Crypt Horrors in there, ideally. Drakenhof Conclave building up something. Highborn of Khemri for King Jocht. And we are able to move into Zandri. Although I guess the question is... What do we have in terms of defenders here? Oh, it's not all that much. Lots of peasant mobs, and... Can we actually auto-resolve this? I mean, considering we took out an army of 5,000 peasants last time, this is gonna be like half that. It almost seems like it's not worth fighting, but casualties will be medium if we don't. Actually, it's not so bad. And because they have 2 lords and additional units here, alright, I guess we can fight that in a second, but let's see what else we have to do before we do. So Rapunzel is still sieging, but that's okay as it will allow King Jocht to keep generating troops. He currently has 5 skeleton archers. It does make me think like maybe we want to replace 2 spears with more archers, but then only 3 skeleton spears and 6 units of Nehekara warriors? Seems kind of steep. On the other hand, we probably will be trading some of these around to Arkhan to some degree. On the other hand, do we really need that many skeleton archers? They're just, without upgrades, they're just a little bit too weak. You know what, maybe we're fine. Oyas, you can join, maybe. Let me see here. Unless we got a better one. I forget, you're Eternal, or are you, what? You're Master of Ceremony. Spell resistance 10%. But the thing is, we need the Lore of Nehekara. And Treacherous is great. I remember stacking a bunch of Treacherous units in my previous Arkhan campaign to massively buff an army that had a bunch of Tomb Scorpions. But right now, this doesn't really help us. We'll be sure to get some of these later on, though. And since that's the only option in terms of Lore of Nehekara, I guess we will just put you in the army. And then hopefully we'll be able to attack once Rapunzel is done here. Now, buildings. What do we got? We also got bad public order. We may want to switch to Worship of Asaph at some point. Also, we will be upgrading stuff and we need to reduce the cost, so let's do so. Alright, and what about you? We will be deleting all of these, but again, this will be in a while. And oh wow, this is -6 with the military presence of nearly a full stack, damn. We're also going to have to switch here. On the right side, the upgrade should be happening pretty soon as well for the rest of the territories, but damn, it's going to take 21 turns just to upgrade all of these to tier 3. Yeah, this thing ain't reaching max level until like 100 turns most likely, because we have to both save up and grow and take the turns. But anyway, let's get to the last upgrade point for you, Mr. Tomb Prince, and then we shall attack. To Xandria we go. Alright, from a distance it almost looks like Arkhan is floating, because you can't see this the horse's skeletal legs there, so it looks like he's almost just floating above the ground, at least from certain angles. Anyway, I know that this is going to be a relatively easy battle. It shouldn't pose any kind of problems, and could be auto-resolvable, but there is a very, very good reason, in my opinion, to fight it manually. And that reason is this little reinforcement army. This army was sitting outside the settlement, so if this army is not destroyed in the battle, they might back off and then attack us again or siege us right after. This will be an annoyance, of course, because it will force us to sit outside the settlement and not heal up as much. So the main reason to play this is to get units to absolutely destroy these guys. We don't care about the garrison forces because they'll die no matter what, but yeah, these guys, they're gonna be the focus. Anyway, Arkhan and his Tomb Prince pet are going to move out and fight the enemy lord, who looks like he wants to duel. He's moving in by himself. Seems like a bad idea. Gonna get a Spirit Leech on him and then smash right into him with both Arkhan and his Tomb Prince, and these two should bring him down extremely quickly. I guess we could have done the White King stance, but we didn't really need it here, to be perfectly honest. And there we go, just like that, the enemy lord is done for. Not dead, but certainly broken and will be shattered shortly as well. 148 HP, in fact, one more hit will finish him if these guys can manage to land it, but it might be better off for them to run rather than get bogged down fighting all of these peasants. In the meantime, said peasants are going to move towards our battle lines, but they are under fire both from our skeleton archers as well as our Casket of Souls. And oh, smashing right through our bats there, Casket. Be careful with that. Yeah, that's always been a danger with aerial units and the Casket, especially bats. I remember that from my previous time playing Arkhans for sure. Oh well, it's okay. It's just a couple bats and we can revive them with an invocation of the heck, should we even need to. Anyway, going to countercharge the enemy with our units of, well, with our lord and our hero here, and then we're going to shoot him in the back, and then actually there's no need. I was going to send in the skeleton warriors, but these guys just plain routed due to the amount of damage dealt to them by the aerial unit, or not the aerial units, the archers and the casket. Otherwise, we would have sent these guys in after the charge was blunted. Next up, we've got the main garrison force, as the first force was the garrisoning army, but it was far too weak to do anything. I'm gonna get some nice bombardment in here, though. I can't wait until we have like 3 Caskets of Souls, because we're definitely getting a few in Arkhan's army. Though it will take a while considering the cooldown on that right. I do wish that there was an easier way to acquire them, but I guess the game considers them a little bit too good to be able to be easily acquirable. I take it SFO hasn't added the ability to get Lich Priest Lords on the Casket of Souls mounts like Kotep, because that would be just great. But I suppose a little bit too powerful as well. But I mean, sticking to Tomb King Lords on Khemrian War Sphinxes all the time, it just seems a little bit boring. I would appreciate Lich Priest Lords with these kind of mounts. Anyway, All that aside, looks like the enemy is somewhat milling around, but steadily making their way towards our main line. They're going to take quite a bit of damage on the way there, and in fact, let's see. We've got 152 kills on the casket already and 27k damage. Very respectable. We also have the reinforcing army, which has moved onto the field, and both our Crypt Ghouls and our Hex Wraiths are going to specifically go after these guys and kill them to a man so that they can't come back right after. There's also the enemy Lord to consider. This Lord, unlike the previous, needs to be completely killed because otherwise he'll be getting off the map. We'll do the same thing wherein we charge with our Tomb Prince and with Arkhan. We're going to Spirit Leech him again, just like last time. We're going to do as much damage as we can and wait until he runs. Then when he does so, we're going to use our Hex Wraiths to chase him down. Now, normally I would have backed off our Lord and Hero at this point just so that they didn't get surrounded or so that we didn't abuse the enemies running around us mechanic, but we can simply send in our spears right after them, and there we go. Lovely. Now I don't feel bad. Well, and it does look like by sending all of our infantry in, it does leave one of our units of skeleton archers a little bit vulnerable, which will allow one of the men-at-arms to charge. However, we can simply send the bats or the ghouls that have been working on this side of the map over to help that out. These ghouls are also running around the little, I don't know, little rock thing here in order to hit these guys, but they are absolutely the priority, together with the enemy Lord. I expect most of the rest of the enemy army will die over time, so we're not going to commit as much resources as we normally would simply to get the win here, as we are to try to chase down those enemies that are our targets. Alright, Arkhan and his Tomb Prince working away at the enemy Lord, who looks flying peasant, and another peasant has lost his hat. Or something else, possibly. And there we go. Away goes the Lord, but this time the Hex Wraiths are here as well, and we're going to have them chase him down. We're going to pop that Scroll of Lycos on them as well shortly to increase their speed. Not a particularly useful scroll to have, but it's better than nothing, and it might help in this particular situation. And another Spirit Leech going to go down on the enemy Lord. Alright, Hex Wraiths, it's all you. I don't think the Tomb Prince or Arkhan can catch him. Not to worry, you guys are pretty darn fast. The rest of the army is pretty much destroyed already as well. There's that Scroll of Lycos putting their speed up to 110 together with Strider, and they are now considerably faster than him, so they shouldn't have any trouble running him down and anybody that gets in their way as well. We have also caught the enemies in the back here that were our main targets, crushed them between a mob of ghouls and our dire wolves, so they're done for. And it looks like there's, what, 1 or 2 units maybe still fighting? The battle's just about done. Damn, direwolves seem to have a lot more mass than I remembered. How are a single dire doggo bowling over like 10 units? Oh, these men-at-arms just keep flying, and this is a full-grown man with a shield and armor and chainmail. It gotta be pretty heavy for a single little dire doggo to bowl over like 3 or 4 of them. I love the power of undeath, lots of added strength. Alrighty, well with that, I do believe the rest of the enemy army shatters with the death of their lord, who the Hex Wraiths, together with Arkhan and co, did manage to catch, or rather the Hex Wraiths managed to trap after catching. We're going to speed up the rest of this as it is, well, trivial, and we're just going to take our time making sure that these 2 units are also dead. We don't need to chase anybody else, so it's really just these guys. And then if they are indeed fully destroyed and unable to get off the map, the Knights of Origo will be destroyed completely as well. Let's see if this works out. Unless I missed something, unless there's another army standing out there somewhere just out of sight. Though hopefully not. Why would they have this many armies? I mean, it is the AI, and it does like to build lots of cheaty armies, but, well, again, we'll see. And down to 5 units, 1 unit, and we're good. Lovely. I said lovely. There you go. Alrighty, a free banner of swiftness. A perfect vigor is always nice, and hex wraiths already have it, so they don't need it, so we can put it on something else. Anyway, we succeeded destroying every single one of those units, making this fight definitely worth it, as they now can no longer come back. As for the banner of swiftness, I guess we'll give it to Arkhan himself for now, as I don't imagine he has perfect vigor as yet, and when he does get it, we'll switch it to a different unit. We're gonna occupy Xandria immediately, and the faction will be destroyed. Lovely. Alright, now in terms of what Xandri has, the Port of Terror is where? Pyramid King of Amenemhetum. You will give us +1 for all heroes capacity. That's very nice. And Occupied Fleet Port of Terror Technologies. Let's see what that does for us. It doesn't allow us to build anything here, unfortunately. Which is a shame, but that's alright. Let's see, can we or do we need to recruit anything? Well, I mean, if we wanted to, we could join these two units together, lose their veterancy, and just replace them, as it'll take a while to heal them up. I'm almost tempted to just get rid of these skeleton archers as well, because the thing is, we're not going to be keeping these units. Veterancy is great, but I'd rather have those units at full HP when we fight. I think it'll be more worth our time. Anyway, Fleet Port of Terror upgrade, which is here. It gives us diplomatic relations +100 with Vampire Coast and Vampire Counts. Lovely. Clearly, what we need more of is diplomatic relations with these guys. Unfortunately, though, it does cost 500 canopic jars, which is a fair bit. But oh well. Alrighty, and we do have access to the various heralds, but obviously they mostly buff late-game units. I guess the Herald of Resetra doesn't, including skeleton warriors and spears, so we could get that early on, but not at the cost of another army or something like that, so we're going to wait on the heralds as well. Alrighty, well then. We will need growth here. We'll keep the Charnel Plaza for now, because it'll allow Arkhan to move further, all the way to Al-Haik if he needs to, which would be great if Rapans could finish up here at Al-Haik, but we'll see. In terms of buildings, there is probably nothing, because we checked this turn, and in terms of points assigning, Arkhan doesn't need anything, or he does, but we're holding it. You, however, are trying to move towards Desert Strike. Over My Dead Body gives you 6 HP and a little bit of extra speed. This gives you a lot, makes you harder to hit, or makes you harder hitter, rather. We could also start getting Canopic Jar Holder, and I think while this is all great, we do need to get these on every hero, as we need this to grow. One isn't going to make a huge difference, but, well, you know, the more heroes we have, the more Canopic Jars we get, and we need them for pretty much everything, so, yeah. Alrighty, well with that, I believe we're ready to end the turn, unless there is... Ah, there we go. I'm glad I checked you, Diplomacy. Sartosa, you're available. Trade agreement, military access, and let's go for balance offer. Why don't you give us some money?
A done deal.
Lovely. And they're actually nearly ready for a defensive alliance. They're probably going to offer it to us themselves. So I think we don't need to do it. In fact, if they lose a single army out there, they will most likely just offer that to us, so we'll probably do that. Granted, it'll probably get us into a bunch of wars, so we may want to wait to do it, but it is certainly something that we will want to do. Top knots we can ignore. They'll be destroyed fairly quickly, and I'd rather not piss off more factions, but just for that. Strigos wants defensive alliance, but they're most likely going to be dead shortly, which works for us. And there's no vassalage other than these guys, and even then, that's not going to happen. Alrighty, well, sounds like an end turn to me. Here we go. And King Jog, do you need 1 or 2 more turns to complete your army? I don't remember. Alright, come on, Rapans, do your thing. Take Al-Haik, please. Now would be the perfect time. I'm just saying. Not to pressure you on... Yes, perfection. Absolute perfection. Oh, you just made a horrible mistake. Now, I hope that those units of yours are hurt, because we're immediately going to attack you, and we're going to take out this faction. Amazing. Strigos Empire out. We could have actually done the defensive alliance with them in order to... Oh, wow. They're not hurt at all? You're kidding me. They assaulted walls and they're not hurt at all. That seems a little bit suspect to me. And you need another turn to get these Enhekar warriors, but I guess we're not going to be waiting. We're going to attack right away. Alright, declaration of wartime. Hopefully Khemri doesn't come out of the desert and to retake Xandri, but if they do, they do. Let's head to Al-Haik, let's declare war. And no allies have been chosen to become involved, of course they haven't. I find it very weird that they didn't get hurt at all. They assaulted a territory with a full garrison, as well as a full stack. Granted, they were zombies and stuff, and they had a single turn to heal up, but unless these guys have way, way more army healing than the player does, which would be unfortunate, but I wouldn't be surprised, and they shouldn't be that full in HP. Oh well. Not a big deal. And, ooh. Yeah, okay, we're gonna cancel these guys just to get the army in here, or these guys will attack us in the field, and I'm not sure, and that we want that. Let's do this, and let's head out to... wait. Arkhan, can you switch stances to Corrupted Dynasties? Yes. Does a second army in Corrupted Dynasties actually do anything? I'm not sure that it does. In fact, I feel fairly strongly that it's unlikely that it does, but it is extra weapon strength for vampiric units. And we could always turn it off right after. Nothing else would help here, does it, would it? No. Alright, Corrupted Dynasties. And here we go. And now we could risk staying out here, and maybe they'll try to fight us in the field, but I feel like that's probably the worst of the two options. I do wonder, are you able to reach Martek? No. Okay. So we're safe there as well. Lovely. Here we go, our first siege. Valiant defeat according to this, and we'll certainly have to be concerned. The enemy have quite a lot of defensive supplies here. Really, at tier 1, 2,000 defensive supplies. Damn. And they're gonna have a lot of towers, but fortunately we do have the bats to take those down, so I'm not all that worried. Here we go.
This is well.
Alrighty, here we go. Time to reclaim this territory, because it all should belong to Arkhan in the first place. Besides, this is a vampiric territory by virtue of the all the crazy vampire architecture, which you gotta love, so it should, after all, belong to us. Now, I am very excited for this particular siege. We got a lot of enemies to work through, a ton of knights that are going to be very difficult to bring down as well, mostly because, frankly, our army lacks damage dealers. We certainly have the ghouls available, but the ghouls are not able to enter directly through the gates and fight enemies, because they'll simply get obliterated there. So it'll have to be some other method by which we kill the enemy, which will mean we have to break through, force the enemy to fight us in essentially a blob, and then allow the crypt ghouls to make their way into the city afterwards, maybe with the dire doggos as well. In that light, we've deployed everybody who isn't hidden, who doesn't have stock, over together with Arkhan to force the enemy to blob up there, while the Hex Wraiths and all 4 units of ghouls are going to be trying to break through all of these gates. We also have our reinforcements, which are going to go through this side and possibly go through this gate as well, though we may have to adapt to the situation depending on how the enemy reacts, as the AI does switch its units, or it blobs up where the biggest concentration of enemies is, so it could very well react to our reinforcing army. Anyway, it looks like they're running away from these walls. It's probably not the best place to be, as they are under bombardment by our Casket of Souls, which is doing pretty okay, and as we've seen, has gotten a fairly decent number of good shots off already. The enemy did build 2 towers, a tier 2 and a tier 4, both of which have been basically instantly destroyed by the bats. Unfortunate for them. Sieges may certainly be harder in SFO, but when you have these bats, these towers just go down extremely quick, or not necessarily bats, but aerial units in general. I think perhaps in a future adjustment, they're going to make these towers have more health. They just go down too easy. And they're definitely one of the things that's supposed to make the battles quite a bit harder. Oh, they look like shooting stars. Yeah. I do think those towers need adjustment. They do quite a lot of damage, but they're completely countered with a single air unit. Of course, unless you judiciously protect them with a bunch of your own range units, but they're just not going to do that, and by they, I mean the AI. The AI is just not gonna. Anyway, time to move up our skeleton archers, who are going to start helping the Casket of Souls out and hitting all those units on top of the walls, while Arkhan, his White King, his Tomb Prince, and all the Dire Doggos are going to start moving towards this side. It does look like the enemy is reacting and moving over here together with us, however, which is a little bit unfortunate, but what can you do? We do have reinforcements coming in 2 minutes that are going to help. It's also a little bit unfortunate for the AI that they got this particular map, as they essentially have 2 blind spots where we currently are deployed and where we're about to be deployed, where the enemy can't get any towers firing on us. Unfortunate, but plenty of maps have some blind spots, so it's hardly an unusual thing. Alrighty, well, those skeleton archers are going to start working, though they're not going to get a lot of kills. They're fairly weak as units, early game archers after all. And especially since these guys are both armored and shielded. What's their armor at? It's 35. Okay, well, armored is maybe a strong word. They're shielded. Partially armored, if nothing else. In the meantime, the bats have found the last tower that is on the field. I don't know why the AI decided to build one all the way back here. It probably would have never gotten off a shot, but just in case, we're going to destroy it. Whereas the other bats are going to fly around and look for a better target. We've also made our way through the gates, and our reinforcements are going to be here in a minute. But I'm going to speed this up a little bit, as it's going to take a little bit of time for us to get into battle here. There we go. Just going to back off just for a second, just to see what these guys do. And it doesn't look like they're going to react to that, especially with the reinforcements arriving, so we're going to move back in and get ready. This will be where we breach the enemy citadel, or the enemy city, rather. Not that we're going to stop attacking here. We've got our skeleton spears working on the gate. We've got more units ready to move up and start fighting these guys together with the archers and the continuing fire support from the Casket of Souls. So these guys can't quite leave the place, or else we'll stream into the city. Speaking of streaming into the city, this gate is now broken, and our ghouls, together with our hex wraiths, are sitting outside in stock, hidden, waiting for their opportunity. And then the same thing here. One of our bats has managed to catch a enemy unit of peasant bowmen, and we might send some ghouls to finish him off quicker. But now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 avenues, or at least soon to be 4 avenues into the city to hit the enemy from various sides. Back to speeding up a little bit, although I guess we could watch the bats kill some peasant bowmen, though we have seen it a fair few times now. And oh! Huh, I didn't realize there was like 50 breaches over on this side. We could have actually gone to this side, in fact. Well, you know what? Doing it this way seems more fun. Besides, the problem with this is the fact that, well, A, we would have to deal with the towers. Yeah. Nah, this still would have probably been more dangerous than what we're doing now. Better not. Interesting that the breaches are all the way over on that one side rather than interspersed. I do wonder why. Did the auto-resolve between the 2 AI make it so that the assault was there? But then wait, I sincerely doubt that that Rapunzel's army actually breached the walls. They're damaged, I guess, due to the occupation of the settlement, so they weren't damaged during any auto-resolve battle. Just interesting that they're all in one place. Also, I really like this map. Got some cool ruins and stuff. But I do have a bit of a bias towards vampire camp maps. Anyway, we're finally moving in, or somewhat moving in, by summoning a bunch of zombies, while Arkhan and his little team of elites are going to start working on those enemy knights. The White King with his glowing eyes, very visible in this dark map there. Arkhan, the White King, our Tomb Prince, and we also have a 3rd Lord, or a 4th rather, a Lord, well technically our 2nd Lord, but our 4th hero/Lord unit. Part of our command squad, King Jocht, moving in, and we're just going to keep summoning zombies while the Lords and Heroes get to work on those knights, and the rest of the city is slowly enveloped and we breach at other locations. It is nice that we were able to move through the light here and out of the shadows, so we can actually see what's going on in the fight. There we go, and Arkhan and Co are starting to bring down those knights, but it is going to take quite some time to do it this way. And that's okay though, plenty of reinforcements are coming in, and we're going to be able to send in some Nehekara warriors, which are moving in right now, together with some spears as well, to help out with all this. And we have 5 more skeleton archers to start working on the enemy there. Unfortunately, it does seem that we might have lost one of the bats units. I sent it in to kill one of the isolated enemy range, but they got charged and basically insta-killed by one of the enemy knights. I don't remember which knight, but I guess not super important. Well, we can always get another unit of bats, it's not a big deal, and in fact we can transfer one of the 2 built by King Jocht, so that's just fine. Looks like this gate is nearly broken through as well, so we'll be entering the city here at the same time as we are over on this side. One of the ghouls is actually going to peel away from everybody and head directly for the Victory Plaza, while the Hex Wraiths together with the other unit of ghouls try to find isolated units to kill. Lovely. And in the meantime, it's this. The enemy just tries to hold the gate against the massive zombies and skeletons for as long as they can, but as long as we have mana, we have pretty much endless numbers of zombies that we can summon. And it does take the enemy quite a while to break through them with their shock cav. That said, it's pretty much only our lords and heroes doing damage to these guys at the current time, so it will take a while as well. And just, let's see, 1 second, blinded, eh? What was that? Somebody did something. I'm not entirely sure. Was it a ability? I think it might have been an ability from you, right? Halo of Maidenly Wrath. Medium explosion causes blinded, with knockback effect. How long does this last? Wait, duration 1 second. Huh. Cooldown 120. Didn't she just use it 3 times in a row, or is it just a long effect? But it said duration 1 second. Interesting. Well, we got blinded on us, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I doubt it's going to make too much of a difference. And especially with the range units, who are going to reposition themselves shortly, as they can't really fire on these guys. But the enemy is nicely blobbed up for us to hit. I have also, I believe at this point, started to move the Casket of Souls. It's actually going to start moving down this way, but it will start moving this way in order to provide at least a little bit more support. Our bats have also landed right in the center here. They are going to get charged, and that will actually activate our Realm of Souls, which will keep them alive. But the bats did sacrifice themselves for a good purpose, destroying the enemy trebuchets and preventing them from supporting the enemy. Though I suppose missed shots from the trebuchets could have actually helped us a fairly decent amount, as they might have hit those knights. Alrighty, well, let's see if we can get our bats out and alive here. I'm gonna pop an Invocation of Nehek on him as well, and just to keep him alive in a few seconds. And one of them is still trapped in there, yeah, which is the biggest issue. A few bats being trapped like this will continuously force your entire unit back into the fray. There really needs to be like a cut off units that are stuck sort of command. Like you should be able to, I don't know, like drag a square around the units that you want to keep, and then the rest get degrouped and just act on their own. And because it is a little bit silly that you can have 2 units of bats get trapped and then the entire unit repeatedly tries to come back in. Shouldn't be a thing, but oh well. Part of the Total War experience and all that, and just something to overcome as part of the game mechanics. Anyway, the Invocation of Nehek does appear to have saved these bats, at least. These ones are still pretty okay. There we go, they're gonna come back. There's that other Halo coming in, continuing to blind us, but rather wasted on those zombies. And besides, now we're going to get a lot more support as we move our skeleton archers into better positions to fire on the enemy. We'll be even moving them here in a few seconds. I was hoping that they could fire from here with minimal movement, but a little bit more won't hurt either. In the meantime, our ghouls have nearly captured a minor supply location in the background. The others, as I said earlier, are going to head towards that Victory Plaza, and the Hex Wraiths are just killing any units that were routing already in order to make sure that they don't come back. Looks like we found another isolated unit of peasant bowmen over on this side as well, and that's certainly something for the bats to kill. They're certainly strong enough to kill a peasant bowman unit by themselves. Said peasant bows are going to get a little bit of support from some men-at-arms, but that's okay, because Realm of the Dead level 2 is actually going to activate. And there go our skeleton archers as well. I'm about to start shooting a lot more arrows into this mass of enemies here. And we are just still standing there. Those zombies, they're just creating this permanent beachhead in the enemy city here. And that's the best they can do. And the enemy just can't do anything about this. If only they had more ranged units that were still alive, just to be able to fire down into us the same as we're doing to them. Arkhan pops his physical damage reduction on top of everybody. I believe that's what that effect is. Yep, Liber Mortis plus 50% physical resistance. Quite nice. And we've actually gotten Arkhan and Co. out, as they were starting to take a lot of damage, either from the enemy Lord and Heroes, or possibly from the enemy Knights. Hard to say. But I'm sure they did a decent amount of work. And besides, at this point, the zombies just need to hold the ground while all the skeleton archers expend their ammunition. Granted, not a lot of armor piercing on them, but it's sheer numbers that will count at this point. All while this is happening, we have completely broken through over on this side of the map and are streaming into the city. The bats have destroyed a couple more isolated units, and it looks like the hex rates are moving around doing the same thing as well. Soon there will be nothing left but the Knights Errant and Raponce leading them at that gate, whereas the rest of the city will be in our hands. Ghouls and Hexwraiths should have no problem taking out a few isolated units of men-at-arms. And still moving around those trebuchets like we saw last time. There you go, Hexwraiths. Look like you're having fun. And there we go, the third level of Realm of the Dead activates, which means we will soon be able to get Ushabti on the field. We do want them to attack the enemy with some support, however, so we're not only going to summon the Ushabti, which I guess is going to be the debut of said Ushabti for this campaign, but we're also going to overcast a Skeleton Spear summon to help him out. And there we go, just so that the Knights can't surround them. And suddenly these guys have Ushabti and Skeleton, well actually Skeleton Warriors, not Spears, unfortunately. Would be better if you could summon Skeleton Spears, but oh well. Maybe it should be random. Oh, like the overcast version of it should randomly summon either Warriors or Spears. I don't know. It would probably be too difficult to allow the choice. But anyway, together these guys are going to start attacking the poor Knights in the flank. The Knights are obviously all exhausted at this point, fighting the zombies this entire time as they are, and continuing to take hits from all of our skeleton archers. A really bad position for them to be in short. The lady demands blood. Well, she can have yours because we don't bleed. I guess suppose our crypt ghouls do, but they're not in this portion of the fight. Good luck wringing blood from a stone in the form of the Ushabti. And interestingly enough, the zombies remain on the field fairly long, where it almost seems like the summoned skeleton warriors disappeared much quicker. Could be related to the winds of magic, though. Oh well, the Ushabti can keep working on this. Let's see, they've managed to get, 14 kills, all of which were Knights Errant, because there's nothing else here, which isn't too bad. 17 kills now. And they can continue. In addition to that, we got more units moving in. As we've opened up those gates, we have the units of Nehekar warriors who have moved through, together with the ghouls and the Hexwraiths who are getting ready to hit the remnants of the enemy force in the back. And the battle should be just about ours. On top of that, the ghouls that we sent off to capture the Victory Plaza have nearly captured it. So it's just a matter of time as to whether we manage to rout everything that's left here, or whether we simply capture the victory point. There we go. They may have much better units than we do, but they certainly lose to overwhelming numbers. And getting attacked from every side can't hurt. Well, it can't hurt us. It can certainly hurt them. A last stand of the Knights Errant in the center here, and the Ushabti's still not gone. Maybe they don't dissipate, or maybe it's longer. I'm curious to see what the maximum time that these summoned Ushabti last right now is. And here come the Hex Rays, just to add a little bit more morale damage as well as terror into the mix. And I do believe with that, the last of the Knights Errant will have routed. And there we go. Now it's just a matter of trying to surround and kill Rapunzel together with her paladins. Unfortunately, they're a little bit difficult to see as they're kind of in the middle of the fray there. There is a paladin out here, as well as some knights trying to break out. I do like that halo effect, though. It's pretty nice. Oh, wait, do these guys have anything similar? Let's see, what do the paladins do? Let's see, oh, Rapunzel is not unbreakable, and one of the paladins, let's see. You are unbreakable and you are not, huh? One of the paladins is unbreakable, okay. Well, then the battle will not be over until this is captured, because it's gonna take way, way too long to bring him down. And he does have healing as well. Well, that's great for him. Won't matter. Won't matter. I'm in fact just going to speed up the rest of this, as while it was fun watching those knights get surrounded and obliterated, we can't really see these guys fight, and they'd be swinging away in the same manner for like several minutes, so not super interesting. And there we go, just like that, Rapunzel decides to shatter, same with her second paladin, while the first one continues to fight. But that does mean the battle is over and the victory is ours. Though at least the paladin can die knowing that he did not break and stood alone against the hordes, probably just buried in undead corpses while the rest of the city fell. Perfect. Oh man, that actually took some effort. I mean, that really felt like a proper siege. The fact that we attacked the enemy and breached the gates in multiple locations and were fighting throughout the city rather than at one small location. Almost harkens back to older Total War titles. I appreciate it. Very, very fun siege. I'm very happy with that. Anyway, let's occupy the place. Rapunzel is done. We get free growth, research, and horde growth. What does this actually do? Does this translate in any way to our faction? And double gain. Could have really used that double experience gain for fighting Bretonnians earlier in the game, but oh well. We also got access to King Nakesh's Scorpion Legion, the Regiment of Renown now, which is nice, and I guess we'll be putting that in Arkhan's army immediately. Wait, can you still move? Yes, indeed you can. Ooh, wait. Is this a Mysterious Island? Yes, indeed it is. Well, that's just lovely. Unless SFO changed things, Mysterious Islands are not fights. They're just free stuff. Yes, those who escaped, and we get press ganged, army replenishment. Actually, could have probably better used that on Arkhan now that I think about it, but who knew that we were gonna get that? Anyway, we could always swap some units out just for healing. Anyway, we will get King Nakesh's Scorpion Legion, a free poison to provide our front line, which is great. And then we'll be moving on to Firesen Kofor. Looks like this guy can't reach us here, though it's very, very close, but we should be able to retreat if we need to. Too bad we can't heal here, but we did need the money and the free Mysterious Island. And I guess we also need to move you back in order to recruit those things that you have not yet recruited. So we'll have to wait for that as well. Now, is there anything else that we need to do this turn? I don't imagine there isn't. Oh my, that battle took ages. Okay, well, unfortunately, we're basically out of time here, and I think this is probably a good place to call it. Certainly, we will still have to attack Firesen Kofor. At the very least, one of them will probably be an auto-resolve, but we may still have to physically fight the battle for Firus, as there is a decent garrison and the army right now, and it's probably going to get built up a little bit further as we go. Otherwise, the next episode, the Chevalier de Lyonesse will be destroyed for good, and then Arkhan will be moving down to the Great Desert of Araby, while King Jocht most likely starts working on the Rockop dynasty, as we'll need to start taking their territory over. We will still have to watch out for when Khemri inevitably comes to attack us, but we should be able to keep King Jocht around this area in order to head them off in case they try to take out Zandri. And I'm still unsure whether we should delete Charnel Plaza. You know what? If we're going to move back into this territory, we'll probably keep it for at least one more turn, or maybe a couple more, and then we'll swap it out. On the other hand, if these guys are going here... Nah, you know what, we'll keep it for a couple more turns anyway. Anyway, stay tuned for the destruction of the Chevalier and next episode, and whatever else we have to do, including the beginning of the war against the Rock-Up Dynasty. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.